Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelley Hoffman. We hope you enjoy the show and find it very informative. Hey everybody, it's Shelley Hoffman with Heart Home Community, and I am talking to Jeff Rogers, who, if you don't know Jeff or you don't recognize the picture behind him, he is the owner of the Angry Garlic in Baldwinsville. How you doing today, Jeff?
I'm fantastic, Shelley. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. It's been a pretty good day so far. But as much as I probably could have brought you on for a million things that you do in the community, today we're going to talk about the Baldwinsville Dining Weeks, right? Because you're one of the organizers or the organizer, but I'm sure you have a lot of help. So,
a lot of help.
I think it's pretty cool. You have 20 locations going, and I do have the locations on the top of the post, and I'll make sure that I tag them afterwards so that, you know, it gets out to their clientele as well and their followers. But how did you approach like 20? Like normally, how many do you have? It's almost double.
Yeah, this is going to be year 3 of Baldwinsville Dining Weeks, and in the past, you know, we've had between 9 and 11 locations that were involved. This year, when I approached a couple of the new establishments that opened up, because I want to make sure everyone's included, I started hearing back from some of the other establishments that were never involved in the past. So now we're up to 20 establishments that are in it this year, which is outstanding. And, you know, we couldn't really go with the traditional 3 courses for a fixed price like we did in the past, simply because we don't want to be bombarded and have people waiting in restaurants and overcrowding it and, you know, going against any kind of 50% mandates or anything like that. So what we did is we changed up the format this year so that everyone could be included. And some are going to be offering a 3 courses for a fixed price, and others are going to be offering just a dish or a drink or something that's just going to be an absolute wow factor for every guest that walks in the door, and they're going to offer it at a value. So it's really neat because now everyone can be involved.
Which, you know, you've always, anything that you've pretty much done for our community, you've tried to figure out how many people or how many businesses and how to combine, you know, this place, which Baldwinsville does, right? We're great at doing collaboration stuff together.
Baldwinsville is amazing. It's amazing. I've lived in quite a few places, and I can tell you that I've never, ever worked in or been associated with a community that comes together like Baldwinsville does.
I was, so as you know, I moved here about 10 years ago, and I say the same thing. People are like, why didn't you leave? Or do you ever think about leaving? I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Like, I've never been in anything like that. And I had Mary Tiffone on a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about the collaboration. And even during COVID, if somebody needed something, they could call you or PPM or vice versa and say, hey, I'm running low on this, because deliveries weren't as easy to come by, right?
Yeah, it's tough to get product still today. It's really tough to get product. And I have meetings often with my kitchen staff, my lead in the kitchen, my kitchen manager, and even my front of house lead. We have meetings often on how we can substitute this product if we can't get a product, or, you know, on our taps. I've always been a huge supporter of the local craft beer scene. Now it's even tough to get small batch craft beers, because when COVID hit, they stopped kegging. They were starting to can so they could hopefully get into all the stores, because none of the restaurants were selling a lot of draft beer at that time. So now it's still tough to get draft beer. I can't even get Blue Light right now, which is a gigantic producer, obviously. But, you know, it's still tough to get the large batch distributors as well as the small.
Wow. So that brings me to one of the questions I do have for you, which is, in organizing the Baldwinsville Dining Weeks, how did the COVID restrictions come into play?
The biggest restriction is honestly going to be not being able to pack the restaurants and the establishments like we have in the past, you know. And I'm sure that most of the other restaurant owners around here you talk to can admit that Baldwinsville Dining Weeks the last 2 years was extremely successful. And, you know, normally January and February, we see a big lull of business. So it was a way to really get people out of the house after being cooped up for all of January, and get them out of the house and start socializing, having some fun, experiencing something non-traditional, and having an absolute blast. It was so successful, though, that a lot of us were literally going on 2 to 3 hour waits on opening night. It was insane, thankfully. So the biggest restriction I would say is really going from being able to accept some walk-in traffic to making it almost necessary to have a reservation to do the dining weeks now. You know, it's going to be tough. It is because so many guests want to come out and support us and try the new menus, try the new ideas, the new concepts that we're working with for all of us, not just Angry Garlic, but for all 20 places. So it's going to be tough to maintain that 50% occupancy for that reason alone.
I did see on your Facebook page that you've already thrown out there if people want to call and make reservations for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we threw out there that we're accepting reservations now for dining weeks. The same with Valentine's Day weekend. You know, it falls on a Sunday this year, which is beneficial to restaurant owners because you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're all going to be packed. But the same situation. You know, you got to make a reservation, otherwise we don't want to line out the door in 10-degree weather. That's not cool either.
No, you know, and going back to all the restaurants working together, if somebody did come to Angry Garlic last year for the dining weeks and you had the 2-hour wait, they could have gone to, I know, you know, Tammy's not in business now, but you had Danny's, or you had Pizza Man across the street, you had Megan here. So maybe if you were busy, one of the other ones had space, or vice versa. You know, reservations now, if you walk in, it really would be tough. You know, just the night of Baldwinsville has changed a little bit because of COVID, which is, you know, kind of stinks.
Yeah, and that's something that all of us have done in the past, whether it was dining weeks, Valentine's Day, or any other big event that was going on in Baldwinsville. When one of us filled up, we'd always send the guests to another establishment local and say, you know, I'm sorry, we can't take you right now. If you don't want to wait, we completely understand. Try out this place, try out that place, but make sure you come back and try us again sometime. So it was an awesome working relationship that all of us had and still have, where we could, you know, if one place was packed, we could try to pack all the other places. And it was awesome the way we all worked together. One thing a lot of people don't know is we actually have a group text going on where all of us restaurant owners or managers, you know, we're texting each other all the time. It's fantastic. Just with updates, something new and creative that we come up with for a concept to do in the community. And it's just such a lovely working relationship and collaboration. You know, none of us ever work against each other. It's not a competition between any of us out here. It's always a compliment between all of us out here. And that's how we roll.
Wasn't it, and maybe it didn't happen because I know it was around the time that COVID came about. Weren't you swapping bartenders, or bartenders from other establishments were coming to your place just to, I mean, that right there was a collaboration of just saying, hey, we all work together. But honestly, I apologize, I can't remember if it happened or if COVID stopped that from happening.
COVID stopped it from happening. No, and what we were setting up for is it was actually a friendly internal Baldwinsville competition called Battle of the Bartenders. And that's what we were settling up for and getting ready to roll out. Just a little friendly, I don't want to say competition, but something fun and friendly to do between all of us. We were actually going to have a belt, like a WWF title belt made to the winner so they could hold it up and wear it. You know, so we had a bunch of fun new stuff coming out. Yeah. This Book of World Records actually approved us to have a garlic eating contest here to go for the record for most cloves of raw garlic eaten in 1 minute. So that had to get postponed, you know, but again, it's something super cool we're going to have when COVID stops. We're going to pack this place and have a bunch of contestants eating garlic with Guinness World Records here, you know. So when this is over, which I think that everyone agrees that we're on the downswing now, and that hopefully we'll be at 100% again here soon. When it's over, all of us are going to really celebrate, and we're going to go out with a bang here.
Well, I keep taking you off topic, but I think people should know how much stuff you organize here in Baldwinsville, just not the dining weeks. And I don't know if you've heard, I've thrown my name out to the mayor and the chief of police about the New Year's Eve party, because you were planning a big New Year's Eve party, and I said we're going to drop a ball off my building, and when we can, right? So you just go all in all the time with the community, not just Angry Garlic. So going back to that topic, was it a tough decision to do dining weeks? Did you go back and forth with it, or did you know the whole time you were going to do it?
I went back and forth with it for a couple days. Just again, the primary reason was because we don't want to pack our places and not follow the guidelines and get ourselves in trouble, which is why we're really going back and forth with it. And then, my wife and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and we said, you know what, we have to do it. We have to. We haven't done anything in almost a year now, really, to get all the restaurants involved. We missed out on Taste of Beeville on Paper Mill Island this past year. It was supposed to happen in September. We couldn't do that. The year before was year one for that on the island, and it was a great success. We had 4,000 people out there. And it rained. And then a monsoon came in, and thankfully, though, again, all the restaurants and bars benefited from the rain because we packed the restaurants and bars from 4,000 people being on the island. But if it hadn't done that, we anticipated another probably 6 to 7, maybe 8,000 people total on that island for the day, and it would have been awesome. So we were all geared up for that again this past September. I can't take credit for that, though. I brought the idea, and Luke and Jim Delia hopped on board. The chamber got really involved in that. They helped us out a lot. So that was a big, big, big team effort for the community to really get involved in that, which we needed. It's a gigantic event. And I've never singly done an event like that to that caliber, and the chamber has. So when they got involved, it was really a gigantic weight lifted off all of our shoulders because they were on point, man. They knew exactly what to do. They knew who to call. They had the resources to call them, and they rocked it out. And so I can't take credit for that. Same with the New Year's Eve thing. That's something Jimmy Delia and I talked about a while back, because it's an idea that he had a glimpse of from a different location, hundreds of miles from here. He's like, let's just block off the street. Let's do it here. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we started making plans for that. And unfortunately, that obviously didn't work out either. Jimmy, Luke, and myself are definitely going to do that when things loosen up here. We want to block off the street and have a bash out here, have live music, line the streets with about 60 heat lamps. And we talked about having a company make a lit up ball for us to drop. So it'd be pretty neat.
That would be. And like I said, Boomer had already started that you guys were doing it. So I just keep doing my part and dropping hits and dropping hits and dropping hits. Because, there's not a whole lot unless you want to go to the city or something in Baldwinsville for New Year's Eve that's huge and just all encompassing, like the Taste of Baldwinsville. So I can't wait for that either. Maybe that can happen for 2022. Probably I'm thinking 2023 at this point, but you never know, Jeff. So going back to the dining weeks, do you know specifically what anybody's offering? I know you said some are doing the 3-course meals. Do you know which ones yet? Or nutrition's probably doing shakes or some kind of special like that, but JessieCakes is on there. Some kind of dessert, but
I don't know exactly who's doing what yet. I'm excited to find out. The deadline, I believe, is February 5th for everyone to have their menus together, or their offerings together, I should say. We have Anthony from Eat Local CNY that is actually doing all the marketing for us on this. He'll be reaching out to the news stations, some radio stations. He helped do the flyers. The social media marketing he does is absolutely outstanding. So. And Renzi Foods is actually sponsoring it this year for us too, which is kind of, so it's a lot less money out of each individual establishment's pockets to pay Anthony to do all the marketing and everything he's doing. So it's really neat that everyone's coming together, especially Renzi being a huge part of it, because with the restaurants closing down the way they did, Renzi, JFS, Cisco, all these places really, Andy's Produce, who we use a lot, they all struggle too, along with all of us. If we're not serving food the way we were serving it before, then they're not selling it to us the way they were selling it to us before. So really for them to step up and donate the amount of money that they're donating to help us out with this event was absolutely spectacular. But to answer your question, no, I don't know what any of the restaurants are doing. We're doing the 3 courses traditional like we did the last 2 years for a fixed price. And then we're going to offer a wine or draft beer pairing as well, if someone would like that. We're playing with the menu right now, having a lot of fun with it. We brought in a bunch of product last week. We brought in a bunch of product today. So we're going to continue playing with the menu today. for Valentine's Day weekend as well as dining weeks, and we're going to have it wrapped up by this Sunday. Now, a lot of the other establishments that can't do 3 courses, they're just going to come up with something super creative, I'm sure, and offer it at a value for guests that come in. And, you know, like I said at the beginning, when I talked to these establishments, they're excited. They're pumped. They want to be on board. You know, Atlantic Seafood's in it this year. It's San Miguel's, the brand new Mexican restaurant that's in town. I talked to Kelly over there, and she looks at me. She's like, "Hell yes, I want in." So it was really, really cool. Greens and Grain are in it this year. They weren't even around last year for it. You know, the Cottage Restaurant, there's so many places, and I can't wait to see what they're all going to bring, because I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, well, and thank you for putting it together. I know you love these events. You know, you enjoy seeing all the community stuff come together. But you hit the nail on the head, Jeff. I mean, the community, the residents, the businesses, we haven't had something to look forward to that's this huge. You know, I had fun with the Big Chill because I'm one of those dummies that jump into the river every year. But you know, even in the virtual event, it's not the camaraderie that that we're used to seeing. So,
no, you're right.
See the chamber's keeping that together so that next year it can continue, you know, year 15, 16, however many years that goes on for too. So it's nice to have.
They're working hard on keeping that together. I know that, and I'm so sorry we couldn't do that this year because it's such a fun event. You know, it's so fun.
Yeah, the Best in Bowl, you won that last year, didn't you?
2 years in a row.
Not that he's right. Not that he's right. I didn't know that, Jeff, but yeah, that's a fun event, and people, you know, try to get in on that one, and it's the tent where you get warm, and you know, the Eagle, I was really hoping that was going to be the COVID ending. That was the big block party, right?
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, the streets would be packed. Everyone would be walking around having fun and hopping around to the local shops, the restaurants, the bars. It's such a fun event. And not only that, but it's one of those events that help keep the chamber floating as well. You know, financially, obviously, the chamber can't do everything for free, so they need money. And that's one of those events that really helps the chamber out a lot. So, you know, even though we couldn't do the event this year, we wanted to make sure that we were a part of it. So we were a relatively large sponsor of it this year, you know.
Yeah.
Virtually. We wanted to be able to help them out some way because they help us out so much as a community that it's just another way that we can give back to them, you know.
Well, and I'm sure they appreciate that shout out too, because a lot of times people don't realize all they do for the community because it's kind of behind the scenes, unless it's like the Big Chill or the Taste of Baldwinsville, where their name maybe gets mentioned a little bit more. So they definitely appreciate that because they're doing what they can to cut costs and keep the doors open. So. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to throw out about dining weeks? I know it's kind of early. It doesn't start until February this year after Valentine's Day. But but I want people to be able to make reservations, so that's why we're talking today, so they can prep for it and get on that list of whatever restaurant of the 20 places you know they want to go.
Yeah, it's 20 days this year. 20 days of fun food and cocktails, creativity going on, and. Yeah, we started it after Valentine's Day this year because, you know, in January, we were a little bit nervous starting in our traditional third week of January because we didn't know how the cases were going to be for COVID after Christmas and New Year's. So we wanted to wait until mid-February to start this year. So we're going to have a butt cooking from Valentine's Day weekend, a day off, a day of rest for all of us, and then we're going to get right into it.
That would be awesome. And it'll be nice to see all the cars line up in the village again. You know, again, it'll be limited, but they'll be out. I don't know if you notice sometimes towards the end of summer at 10 o'clock at night, you look down the streets where the Angry Garlic Pizza Man, Mohegan, it used to be packed. 10 o'clock on a Saturday, it was like, you know, a lone car driving up the road or something. So it'll be nice when the village becomes a village again.
It was so depressing, Shelley. It's funny you mentioned that because, again, you know, I'm really good friends with Jimmy and Luke Dealey. We talk all the time, but we'd be shutting down shop at 10 o'clock on a Friday in the middle of summer, this past summer, and we'd stand in the middle, or we'd meet up in the middle of the road just to talk about how the night was, and it was a ghost town. It's just so weird because normally on a Friday night, you know, their bar would be 3 deep, my bar would be 3 deep. We both have bands going, and all the guests would be going between the two places, going down to Sammy Malone's, walking the village, and it was hopping. There were cars everywhere, and we would basically just sit there practically in tears saying, I miss it so much.
Well, I moved to be able to walk everywhere, and I'm walking, there's nothing was open. So yeah. I mean, but once again, it stinks, but if you look at what could have happened from, end of February to now and what actually did happen, you guys stayed open. Pizza Man stayed open, Mohegan's open. We had 3 new restaurants open.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. Nutrition just opened too. So things, there's some bad parts that happen, but there's a lot of good that happened because the community supports the community in Baldwinsville. So
that's so true. Very, very true.
So, well, thanks for your time, Jeff. Just so you know, I'll probably be one of the phone calls the next couple of days for my reservation. So I'm excited to see what you guys put on the menu.
Sounds good, Shelley. Thank you so much.
Sure. Bye, Jeff.
All right. Take care.